I started drawing as a little girl. I think for me it was the safest way to express myself. When you make a drawing, it's universal, so it was easy for me to speak in that way. I also really just enjoyed drawing and painting. How the paint touches the paper and picking colors and applying them just always just made me feel very calm. To me, drawing is a way to create a world that I would love to see in reality. A world that is soft and playful, and I think that's still, what it means to me today. I think I still draw and paint for the same reasons as I did when I was a child. I can really only draw from this place of light and love, and if it's not representing like this unconditional love, then I just wouldn't know what to draw. My name is Irene O'Callaghan, and I am an illustrator who mainly draws for children. I started illustrating professionally in 2019 when I graduated from the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, and I majored in children's book illustration. I signed with Astound, my agent, and I signed my first book in May 2020. I've done 7 children's books ever since. I'm working on my 8th book right now. The last 7 books I illustrated them digitally on my iPad using Procreate. More recently, I found it more and more difficult to sit for that many hours behind my iPad, and I have decided to transition to traditional media. That means with paint and colored pencils on paper. I get my illustration jobs through my agent, who is actively pitching my work in meetings with publishers. My criteria for taking on a book offer: the timeline has to work out, first and foremost. Then secondly, financially, I have to be compensated in a way that also fits my budget. But most importantly, the story of the book has to align with the direction that I want to head in as an artist. It's very important that it is work that adds to my portfolio. I took on the Mermaid With No Tail because I very strongly felt a connection with the main character of the book. Her name is Tatiana. She's adopted by sea turtles, but in reality, the author is also adopted. And I lost my mother at a very young age, so I instantly felt an empathy for Tatiana because of that, and I just really wanted to illustrate that because I could put so much of myself into the character. The book is not about being adopted. The subject matter is more to do with the fact that she doesn't look physically like everybody else. But nevertheless, it definitely adds to the story. And being separated from one or both of your birth parents is a topic super close to my heart. And I know how hard it is in life to accomplish anything when you have to miss that connection. So I really wanted to take on this story. Once you accept the offer to illustrate, then you will read through the manuscript. You want to get a better idea of what's going to be illustrated on each page. Then you will grab an empty storyboard template and you will very roughly start to sketch out what's going to be on those pages. Where's the text going to be? What's the scale of the characters? What's the composition going to be like? And these are very, very rough. Then once you have the storyboards, you make a little bit bigger sketches with a little bit more detail. They can be super rough, but they have to be clear in their message. You send that to your art director and you adapt the sketches based on the feedback. You might go through a couple of rounds of revisions and then you make the last round of sketches your final line work, which usually includes more details. They then come back with the go-ahead and the green light to start taking everything to color, which is kind of like the last stage of the process. Color palettes are very important because you want to limit yourself to that color palette that will unify everything. And I always like the less colors, the better. because otherwise it can be a bit much and a bit intense for the eye. As I said before, I've done all my previous books with my iPad on Procreate, and I love how you can layer everything and separate the layers. I was trying to stylize real human people into children's book characters, and I had never done that before. I designed the characters in the book by looking at reference pictures. The main character of the book is a very athletic figure, and there were a lot of very dynamic poses. To stylize a pose can be challenging. When you draw it from a picture, it doesn't automatically translate into a drawing. And so it took a lot of practicing and a lot of back and forth. I really loved drawing underwater because you lose all atmospheric perspective when you're floating. So that makes for very fun and playful compositions. I could really focus a lot on melody and a flow on the page. What I loved the most about illustrating The Mermaid with No Tail was that the character was so loving and brave, vulnerable. I just loved her so much from the moment I started to create her on paper, and it was just very pleasant to draw her for months and months on end. By illustrating this book, I definitely learned I work the best, and my work is the best when the story really aligns with me and when I could put a lot of myself into the story that I'm illustrating. What was really special about The Mermaid with No Tail is that it's a real story from a real person, so that makes it very real for children as well. When they look up who Tatiana Long is, that makes it very tangible, and I think it will have more impact because of it. My hope for this book is that it reaches so many children that need to hear the message, which is the thing that makes you different is your greatest gift.